Hey everyone, it's Byron the Dragon King, and today we're back with another Gundam model building video. Today we will be building Guel's Dilanza from Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Now when I bought this model, it was about a year ago, and this was before I watched G-Witch, and I just thought it looked interesting, and I really liked the feather on top of its head, and the pink color really stands out. I also really like Norba Shino's Ryusei Go, all three of them from Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, and that's another pink mobile suit, so it just kind of had a soft spot in my heart, and my girlfriend also thought it looked cool. Inside was just a handful of runners and a small sticker sheet, along with the instructions. The instructions were easy to understand, with no real hiccups, and the pictures were very clear, with no confusing steps throughout the whole build. But before we continue, I think this video could use some music. Ah, now that's better. After opening both bags of runners, I take my time to carefully and methodically organize the runners by just throwing them haphazardly in a pile. As per the instructions, the first step is assembling the head unit. Which includes adding the stickers for the mono eye. As you can clearly see, and not given to the fact that I have removed maybe 3 minutes of me fumbling with the stickers, I am an expert at applying the said stickers. During this build, and during most builds, I like to apply the panel lining as I'm building. Does this result in me wasting time by painting things that are just going to be covered up? Yes. Does it still look good at the end? Arguably. Now comes the time to assemble the main head unit. Next comes the torso. I really appreciate the dark gray blackish color with the light blue for the inner parts of the torso. Now excuse the fact that it took me a little too long to put the torso together. Is this because I need new glasses? Maybe. Let's not talk about it. I appreciate the quantity of pieces, especially the smaller pieces, used here to add a little bit of extra detail for the torso. Now with the head added to the torso, it's time to work on the arms. Thanks to my 6 trillion IQ, and not because the instructions told me to do so, by the way, I decide to work on both arms at the same time, which is just more efficient in the long run. Ooh, one moment. Listen to this. I bet you can feel the dopamine release after hearing that. Now we begin making the armor for the shoulders. I really appreciate that you're able to store both the beam saber and the gun on the shoulder armor pieces when not in use. Fuck, that never gets old. Now we start final assembly of the arms with the shoulder armor pieces. Now it's time to add the left arm to the model. Now begins the assembly of the feet. I like how the Dilanza has little stubby feet, opposed to Gundam's more stiletto, high heel sort of foot, or like a Zaku's more rounded sneaker look. The Dilanza's foot kind of reminds me of like a Powerpuff Girl's limb. I also like how the Dilanza's foot is basically just one large thruster. It really gives off more of a Dom-like feel than like a Zaku. Now with the feet done, it's time to work on the legs and the thighs. I also like the more chubby legs that the Dilanza has, which again really exemplifies those Dom-like features I was speaking of earlier. I really think the panel lining on the legs and thighs for the Dilanza really makes it pop, so it's not just a pink blob. When building a model, I like to see how the legs stand on their own, to see how well the model's going to be able to stand under its own weight. Okay, that was the best one so far. Now with both legs complete, it's time to work on the waist. I found that the waist armor contained pretty good detail, with lots of little nooks and crannies for me to panel line. Now with that done, we can finally assemble the legs and the torso to the waist. With a little adjustment, I feel like it stands pretty well. This just leaves the backpack and the weapons left to build. I really like the little blades that it has on the back for the thruster. It really reminds me of those flags that samurai used to wear. Next comes assembling the weapons. I find that the weird beam lance to be pretty cool, or maybe it's a naginata. I just think the cross-shaped blade is a cool effect. Now it's time to assemble the beam rifle. And the little beam saber knife thing is just a single piece. And as I pointed out earlier in the video, you can store both weapons in the little shoulder guards, which I find super sick. Now it's just a matter of removing the hands so the Dilanza can hold its beam spear. I kind of left the Dilanza in a more neutral pose, like it was ready to fight, but the fight has not started yet. But it definitely could have been a slightly cooler pose. Overall, I found the Dilanza to be an enjoyable build and a pretty high quality, high grade, all things considered, with no real complaints. As I said, the instructions are super easy to follow, and I didn't have any problems throughout the build. And I find that I did a pretty good job panel lining to really accentuate all the details that the mold provides. I could really see with an airbrush that this set could really shine, but I look forward to seeing if they ever decide to make a master grade of this set, because I feel like that would be really cool. Anyways, I've been Byron the Dragon King. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.